Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everybody. Thank you to have accepted the invitation to this launching event for the new EU-funded project SELEA. I'm personally very happy to be back to Tirana and happy to start this new project, which seems to be quite challenging, being focused on implementation and enforcement of legislation, which is a part of the wide process of Albania to approximate to EU. But I'm also here taking the opportunity to thank the Ministry of Environment and the EU delegation for the support shown towards the project, and I would like to invite Minister Medio to give his speech. Thank you.
Mirëmëngjes të gjithëve, i nderuar zoti François, të nderuar përfaqësues të Kalbrosë dhe projektit SELEA. Ky takim i sotëm është një takim jashtëzakonisht i rëndësishëm, sepse prezanton një projekt të ri, i cili do të asistojë Ministrinë e Mjedisit, Pyjeve dhe Administrimit të Ujrave në disa drejtime. Me këtë rast, dua që në emër të qeverisë të falenderoj Komisionin Evropian, delegacionin mirë të veçantë për ndihmën e çmuar dhe mbështetjen dhënë për mjedisin në Shqipëri dhe në mënyrë më specifike kontributin dhe angazhimin e ambasadorit Sekujt. Ky projekt vjen mbas një projekti tjetër shumë të rëndësishëm të IMPAEL-it, i cili rezultoi një projekt jashtëzakonisht i vlefshëm për ne në kuadër të parafrimit legjislacionit mjedisor, por njëkohësisht edhe të politikave tjera për implementimin e këtij legjislacioni. Ky projekt dha një kontribut të gjithanshëm në parafrim të legjislacionit mjedisor në Shqipëri, duke përgatitur paketat plota ligjore, siç ishte ligji për mbrojtjen e mjedisit, vlerësimin e ndikimit mjedis, lejet mjedisore, ligji i menaxhimit integruar të ujrave, aktet tjera nënligjore, strategjisë kombëtare për menaxhimin e mbetjeve, planit kombëtar të menaxhimit të mbetjeve, planet rajonale të menaxhimit të mbetjeve dhe të një ligji shumë të rëndësishëm dhe jetik për Shqipërinë, siç është ligji për menaxhimin e integruar të mbetjeve. Krijuam një eksperiencë shumë pozitive të përbashkët në bashkëpunim, jo vetëm ministri me strukturën e IMPAEL-it, por do të thosha sidomos përfshirjen e shoqërisë civile në një vendimarrje të tillë të rëndësishme. Dhe projekti i ri konsideron dhe avancon më tej objektivat dhe treguesit e arritur nga projekti i parë. Të gjithë padyshim jemi të interesuar për një kuadër ligjor sa më të mirë. Asnjë nga ne nuk ka dyshim që legjislacioni ynë do të jetë një legjislacion në përputhje me atë evropian, sepse qëllimi ynë tashmë është i përcaktuar. Shqipëria duhet bëhet pjesë e Bashkimit Evropian. Por kualiteti i lartë i legjislacionit kërkon padyshim seriozitet dhe angazhim dhe përgjegjësi në implementimin e këtij legjislacioni. Përndryshe, ai do të ngelet i shkruar si tillë dhe i pazbatueshëm. Pra ne jemi të interesuar për një legjislacion bashkëkohor dhe shumë më të interesuar për zbatimin rigoroz të këtij legjislacioni. Ky Ky është dhe objektivi kryesor I projektit të ri. Shoqëria shqiptare dhe opinioni publik ka ardhur koha që duan të shohin rezultate konkrete në mirë administrimin e mjedisit dhe respektimin e standardeve mjedisore. Por padyshim që t'i arrijmë ato, ne duhet të jemi në të njëjtin valë me shoqërinë dhe me angazhimin tonë përbashkët. Edhe një herë dua të falenderoj Komisionin, Delegacionin Evropian, dua të falenderoj Karl Brown që ka qenë partner jashtëzakonisht I rëndësishëm për ne dhe ekipin e SELEA-s ose ekipin e vjetër Tim Paelit për gjithë kontributin dhe mbështetjen që ka dhënë Ministrisë së Mjedisit. Faleminderit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Midir. May I invite now Mr. François Bijot to have his speech, please?
Sorry. Minister Mediu, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, today the Ministry of Environment has invited us to the official launch of this important cooperation project between Albania and the European Union, and I would like to thank you, Minister, for this kind invitation. I would like also to apologize our ambassador, Ambassador Sikri, who couldn't at the last minute be with us, and he asked me in my quality of head of the section for economic reform and infrastructure as a delegation to deliver the speech for him. I will make a few considerations of the project and will try to share with you the vision of environment in the European construction. So for the next 30 months, the Ministry of Environment will indeed receive support from the EU to build more effective environmental institutions in order to deliver better services to you. I'm confident that this transfer of know-how will benefit to Albania. I do believe that what is important is that the know-how be transferred. It's not only to make a new law or to build institutions, it's to have a real transfer of competencies. And for this matter, the Ministry will be assisted by a team of experts coming both from EU and Albania. And during the next 30 months, so the EU is going to invest €4 million to enable Ministry of Environment to draft major pieces of legislation in accordance with EU law, to increase law enforcement, and to build capacity in regional environmental institutions. I do believe, Minister, you were right when you said in your speech that environment is a national priority, and it's very important to increase the law enforcement. So it's not only to have legislation, but also to be sure that this legislation is in place and is respected. But also during the next 30 months and beyond, we trust the Albanian government and the Ministry of Environment in particular to improve Albania's standard of living. And the EU assistance to Albania is exactly about that. Some people speak ironically, saying that environment is a concern of those who love trees, little birds, flowers, or nice fishes. The EU does not see it in this way. The EU thinks that caring for the environment means sustainable development. The EU thinks that sustainable development is a guarantee that we as human beings will continue to be able to live and prosper on this planet. Therefore, when we speak of the environment, we are actually speaking our lifeline. We are speaking about protecting species and biodiversity, but we are also speaking about farming, food quality, soil conservation, climate change, chemicals, water, air quality, and for sure, public health, because all of that is about public health. It's our hope as a European Union that the complex impact of the environment on our life system and on public health has now been fully understood. The argument is not longer that the sheer importance of health justifies sacrifices on the economy. Instead, we have now realized that protection of the environment is also good business. It's a question of jobs and money. In time of crisis, it is even more important to remember that greening the economy can create new opportunities for employment, new products, new technologies, and new market. In short, growth.
Sazanguri për kaj smion. Dy-tre pyetje. Pyetja e parë është pas këtij projekt për forcimin e ligjit mjedisor, ju e keni. A mund quhet vendi ynë si vendi i arir, legislator mjedisor dhe i krahasueshëm me atë europian? Apo do kemi nevojë që këto 20 vjet projekte 2-3 milionë euro gjithmonë forcim legislator mjedisor? Pyetja e dytë. A keni menduar të përfshini dhe të ofroni ju shërbime për shoqata mjedisore, për studio, të cilët kanë një kapacitet 20 vjeçar për mjedisin, që me mësimin tim dhe në komendin tim ju për 2-3 vjet është pamundur të arrini. Dhe fundit e treta dhe më rëndësishmja, do merrni ju pësi për të informoni publikun jo me 5 veta si keni thirrur temën e kaluar në këto ambiente dhe ta lini Ministrinë e Mjedisit në balk, siç e lap në projektin e importit mbetjeve, apo do ta quani përfshirjen e informimit publik ku çdo shqiptar ka drejtë ta njohë projektin tuaj. Të paktën grupet e interesit, të paktën shoqatave mjedisore të qyteteve apo të rrethave apo 12 inspektoriateve, qarqeve. Nëse në rast se do jetë si projektin e kaluar, mendoj se duhet ndalemi. Faleminderit.
Okay. Thank you for your questions. So I start from the last one you mentioned that was the most important, and is related to public participation and involvement in the work process. So the way we have prepared the legislation under the previous project and the way we will prepare the legislation under this project, which should be the same, go through three steps. So the project is on its own preparing a preliminary draft. This preliminary draft is then handed over to the working group in the ministry for discussion. The working group in the ministry make their own comment and come back. These comments are reviewed in the project, and a second draft or second version of the draft is prepared, and this second version is given to all line ministries for comments, and all the other relevant ministries, agriculture, finance, interior, economy, health. The comments came back. The draft is, the comments are worked out again. There is a draft number 3, which is given to, which is published on the web page and given to public for comments. The comments are collected, again reviewed, and then the draft is formally taken over by the ministry as his own product. This was as we did. This is how we will do it. So I think that the process is transparent and quite open to comment. Indeed, also the society had comments on various laws, including the waste law, and those comments were partially taken, partially not, because we need to ensure the compliance with the directive, that not always the comment is in line with what the directive requires. So that's part of our job. It's true that, first question, it's true that a lot of money has been put in this project. The project is a budget of almost 4 million euros. I think Francois, that's the most big project in terms of funds that ever has been implemented in Albania. So we are keen on environment, yes, and on technical assistance. We are eager because of that and keen to do a good job. Of course, what we will be able to achieve depends very much on the partnership with the ministry and the relevant institution. So when you make a know-how transfer, of course, you need to be in two. You need to have a counterpart in place, and you need to have a counterpart committed to absorb what you are trying to transfer. So from our side, we will do our best, but I mean, that's of course not enough. We will utilize the most modern instruments and tools for achieving that. And we need the commitment from the side of the beneficiary, which means personnel in place, willingness to cooperate and be participative. We are open to, as I try to explain during my presentation, to stakeholders, and special focus on business. Environment, as Francois was saying in his presentation, is not only protection of biodiversity, better management of natural parks, but is also dealing with best techniques, polluted less, invest in new techniques, in new technology. We need a partnership with the business community, because the goal is to achieve better environmental conditions without killing the economy. So we need to make progresses together. I don't think that we achieve progress on the environment stopping the economic development of the country. On the other way around, I think condition to achieve better protection of the environment is to have a developed business community, which is stimulated also through economic instruments to improve and reducing the pollution burden to environment. Did I answer to the question?
Nëse unë mund t'i përgjigjem pak duke kuptuar më drejt shqetësimin e Sazanit. Unë mendoj që detyrimi ynë padyshim është parafrimi i legjislacionit dhe legjislacionit bashkimit evropian. Kjo nuk është thjesht për faktin sepse jemi të obliguar për shkak të vetë procesit dhe marrëveshjeve tona, por besoj për shkak të nevojës standarde. Ky projekti i dytë, si element bazë, ka implementimin e legjislacionit më shumë se sa thjesht dhe vetëm transpozimin. Pra përgatitjen e akteve nënligjore që do bëjnë ligjet që kemi miratuar dhe tani të implementueshme dhe ndërtimi kapaciteteve dhe forcimi kapaciteteve dhe strukturave të ministrisë apo dhe të elemente tjerë që merren me çështje mjedisore. Dhe unë besoj që Shqipëria mund quhet që të paktën në fushën e mjedisit ka një progres jashtëzakonisht mirë mjedisor, në fushën e legjislacionit, tjetër çështje implementimit, flas në fushën e miratimit legjislacionit. Dhe prandaj kërkoj më tepër fokus në ky projekt pikërisht në implementim të legjislacionit.
I look forward to seeing Albania become part of the family of nations that sharing this value, and I am confident that with a commitment set today by the Ministry of Environment, we are on the good way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bijot. May I now invite Michael Anse, Director at GroundMe, to have his speech, please.
Thank you, Paolo. Honorable Minister, Your Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to stand here today on this kick-off meeting in this very important project. Of course, it's a privilege also because I'm from GroundMe, and that means GroundMe is the consultant on this project. And we are very honored on this position, of course. You could say that the focus on this project, the overall focus on the project, is of course to support the Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Water Administration to enforce the implementation of environmental legislation. That's the overall purpose. The project is parted into three parts. The first part is enhancing the Ministry's ability to implement and enforce legislation, environmental legislation. That means plants, water, waste, and also to strengthen the technical capability. The second part is improving inspection and enforcement and proceeding of the environmental legislation. That means involving the regions, the 12 regions. The third part is improve environmental management by the environmental agency, both national and regional. That means building capacity of the National Environmental Agency, and it also means improving capacity of the regional authorities. If I look in Denmark about the enforcement of environmental legislation, I can see that the environmental agency is in the beginning when we're talking about enforcement. They have the technical capability to make detailed guidelines to use by the local authorities, which is very important. So it's important about the technical capability in the environmental agency, but it is also important to make the detailed guidelines so that the local authorities can implement them. One could say that the local authority in Denmark is a key parameter and a key issue to secure the enforcement of environmental legislation. Of course, public involvement is also a key parameter in enforcing the environmental legislation. For an example, the EU Water Framework Directive, to implement that, the local authorities in Denmark is playing a key role. As another example of the meaning of enforcement of environmental legislation and the importance, as mentioned by the Minister and Mr. Francois, about the importance of the environmental in the society and to population, people in all. One of the local authorities in Greenland, I think 2 years ago, made a research by the population, among the population, to what is important. The expectation of Greenland is that because of oil and mineralization, they are expected to be very rich in a couple of years. So they made the researches by the population, what is important when you're getting rich on oil and minerals. And it was very clear answer from the population. It was the environment that was the top priority. So just to remember, I think it's a very important to develop the society, and it's important to the population also, the environmental area. Of course, Colombia will do our best to make this project a success, no doubt about that. We have a strong team. We used almost the same team in the previous project. So I'm pretty sure it will be a success. We're looking forward, of course, to work on this project, and we're looking forward to work in this lovely country, Albania. So that's for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So the program for today now foresee a presentation from the project in detail, and then we will have room for question and discussion.
Profesor Zazangurit, dhe bazuar në disa elemente që dolën plus. Pari Infaeli, dhe mbi SELEA ka autorsinë e ligjit për menaxhimin e integruar të mbetjeve në Shqipëri. Së dyti ka një shqetësim dhe një debat nga një pjesë e shoqërisë shqiptare, në disa momente i politizuar, por në disa momente me aspekte teknike të shqetësimit. Duke patur parasysh atë që u tha nga zoti ministër që projekti në fjalë ka të bëjë shumë me implementimin e atyre që kemi deri tani, pra me krijimin e kushteve për implementimin. Atëherë pyetja është, nëse ju do të bëheni pjesë edhe themi zyrtarisht e argumentimit teknik për ligjin në vijim të këtij debati që tani po merr formë në shoqërinë shqiptare, me një element të ligjit. Dhe tjetra, a parashikoni tek ky projekt implementimin, ose të themi implementimin e mirë, ose praktikat e mira të implementimit, duke ndjekur disa nga shqetësimet, konkretisht, për shembull, atë të kontrollit mjedisor në dogan. Një pjesë e shoqërisë civile shqiptare kanë këtë lloj shqetësimi.
Ndoshta ky mund të ishte pjesë, a keni menduar apo jo që të jetë pjesë. Dhe pyetja tjetër ka të bëjë me faktin se Ministria e Mjedisit, ndjekur edhe pra këshilluar nga projekti INPAEL, ka patur një program, themi një plan pune për të implementuar legjislacionin dhe midis tyre ka qenë edhe themi aplikimi ose adoptimi një ligj të posaçëm për azbestos, për amiantin në Shqipëri, brenda vitit 2014. Shqipëria është në vendet e vetme, ose them e vetme që nuk ka një ligj të posaçëm për amiantin në Shqipëri, për azbest. Ka shumë aktivitete që janë bërë, disa shoqata që kanë qenë aktive në këtë problem. Ky është një material kancerogjen, i cili është ndaluar në Bashkimin Evropian, ka një ban absolut që nga viti 2005, ju dini, se nuk i keni parashikuar në këtë, apo është pjesë e programeve kohë të ardhshme. Faleminderit.
Asbestos, I start from the end. We will, one of the first activity, as I mentioned in my presentation, is that we will go through a legislation review, which means to have a snapshot of where we are in terms of transposition of legislation and of directives and regulations. And based on that, we will present a plan. The ministry will adopt it or modify or whatever, but it is a decision of the ministry to set priority, not to us. So we will just make advice. If asbestos will be one of that, Minister Medio will answer, not me, I can't. We did a number of pieces of legislation during INPAEL, and very, very relevant. Everybody is mentioning the integrated waste management law, which was one of many, but we did also the permitting law, the water law, and environmental impact assessment law, environmental protection law, and many other pieces of secondary legislations, landfill, incineration, urban wastewater treatment, so really many. From a technical point of view, the debate which has been followed, the handed over of our draft to ministry has concluded in some cases in line with the directive, in some cases not. Namely, the law on permitting, which was prepared by INPAEL, is not 100% transposing the directive as a result of a debate in Albania, so it is for the environmental impact assessment law. As for the waste law, that's not happening, and to me, the integrated waste management law is fully in line with the waste framework directive. Technically speaking, I have no doubt of that, and I'm fully confident that any other auditing of what I'm saying will give the same answer. So I'm technically proud of what has been done. It's a good piece of law. But then, to me, is ended here. Is the internal question of Albania, how we want to modify it from the side of implementation. You touch a good point, which is indeed the custom is one of a point of a chain of controls, and we indeed foresee training also to custom on some specific subject, as I mentioned in my presentation, as the regulation of shipment of waste is part of our work plan. It will be, we will have session of training at the custom on concerning that regulation specifically. And of course, this deal with import of some secondary raw material, because this is the way, technically speaking, of how we classify those materials. Much focus is indeed on the side of inspectorate, because the inspectorate are the front line for us towards the polluters. So the inspectorate are in presently in a weak situation, the lack of means, the lack of capacity, but also practical tools to do the job. We have also, as a part of our project, the responsibility to identify what they need and they lack of, and partially provide through supply of specific means to do their job. So it's not just a theoretical approach and delivery of training, but also we will have a component of hardware on it. And actually cannot be different from that, because it is to the governmental organization as the inspectorate on one side and the agency on other that we need to work with, because it is to them to make effective and real the implementation of the requirements of the new adopted law.
Question, but I have a suggestion and for the project. For those who don't know me, I'm Antoine Avignon. I work for the EU delegation with Mr. François Bejeau, and I'm, let's say, the task manager in the delegation for that particular project. My suggestion to the project, following the different discussions we already had on the way of ensuring transparency of the laws when we draft them, is to have the project ensuring that the data on the licenses given by the ministers to different companies would be fully transparently published, whether on the website of the ministry, whether on the website of the project. I think that when the minister makes a decision to allow a company to import inert plastic or inert aluminum, it is fair that, and I know that the ministry already published this information in front of the ministry, it is fair that this information are published, for instance, on the website. And Mr. Minister, if the project can help in doing this technically on helping to publish this on the website, you can ask them to help with this. Thank you.
You know, that's what I was talking with Francois, you know, and maybe your concern came, you know, right on time. The issue is that the Minister of Environment needs a system, integrated system on environmental issues. That is going to be an IT system which is, you know, will give us much more room for, you know, programming right, monitoring right, inspecting right. And something that we really need right now, have a support from the EU Commission and also from the team of SELEA is exactly to move on that. I'm not happy with what we do. You know, we try to do the best, but I'm not happy with what we do. Even with the import, you know, we try to stop it. But I think the most important thing is to be transparent. And it's not just enough to publish it in the website. I think the most important part is that the NGOs and the groups of the civil society have to participate in the process. So this is the most important part. And I'm calling on them that they have to come and be part and raise their concerns. Because if something happened, we can blame one another, you know, was right or bad, but we don't have to allow to happen something that which, you know, will damage the environment in the country or create some other issues. That's why I think it's the most important that, you know, maybe as we are doing without permissions and so on, that we have a committee led by one of the deputy ministers. We can have a committee, you know, that everybody participated, and maybe once in a month will be a fixed day and time where people will sit down together from the ministry and NGOs and talk about, you know, any request that is coming to the Ministry of Environment. And this maybe will avoid some of, you know, discussions that who is invited and who is not invited. So that time, that day, includes everyone without any need for invitation. Everyone that has a concern to be part of the discussion with the Ministry of Environment, what we are talking on that particular issue of import or other issues that we might have it. So this is something, but your question is well taken and your concern, and I think Ministry of Environment needs to move on this digital, you know, performance that everybody sees with a transparent. We have from ours, you know, program some of financing on that, but I don't think that it's enough what we have done. We have to do more on that.
Okay, I think we can close here. The minister has to leave. Thank you for participating, and hopefully we will have soon other opportunity to continue our discussion. Thank you very much.